Welcome everyone to our newest series, Table Talk, designed exclusively for real estate agents to help grow their business. We cover a wide range of topics. We cover a wide range of popular topics. And so whether you are a new or seasoned agent, you are bound to pick up a nugget or two. And this is our very first episode. We're so excited to have you tune in. My name is Andrew Lake. I am the co-owner and managing partner here at Greystone Realty. And to my right,
I'm Samantha, and I'm the broker and co-owner of Greystone Realty here in Texas.
very nice. And so our first topic for today is going to be the 3 mistakes that I made as a new agent. And so Samantha and I each wrote our own 3 things that mistakes that we made as a new agent, and we're going to be sharing them with you guys for the first time today. So you have yours on paper, and I have mine on my phone. So you want to start first?
Sure, I'll go first. So the first one that I wrote down was paying for expensive lead services for leads. I won't name names, but we paid for one when we first started out to try and get some leads as a new agent, and we were paying over $300 a month for about 10 leads, maybe. And most of the time, those leads didn't even provide a phone number. Sometimes there was no email, the name was wrong, and the ones that we did get with correct information, they weren't even looking or interested or anything. I think maybe only 1 out of the 10 that we got in the first month was a good phone number, and even then nothing came from any of the leads that we got.
Yeah, so that was a good point. I think to have something along the lines on mine is the same way, but I don't think it's not bad to pay a lead provider for leads. I think you really need to do some due diligence on that. But yeah, she's right. We got stuck into a contract, and I think we're paying more than $300. I think that was like just an entry fee. I can't remember, but it ultimately set me off on the path because I was so mad that I just got swindled by this lead company, and we're paying so much money every single month, and we were just getting garbage in return. So I don't know. I'm not totally against paying lead providers as long as they are, it's a legit marketing company and not something that's like, there's companies out there like Set Schedule and all those who have had terrible experiences with, and they make you pay these initiation fees. I would say if you're not going to do the big box, brands like Zillow and Obsidian Realtor.com, or which Obsidian is Realtor.com now, but I wouldn't advise going that route. But if somebody wants to really build their database, is to learn anything they can about digital marketing, or hire a marketing company that's going to get their brand out there, and not just, the company will run ads on their brand and then push the lead to the agent. That's not how it should be. It should be where the company is inside your ad accounts running ads from your image, and your brand is what consumers see. And then the leads get flowed directly into your database, and it's not this like round robin thing, I guess you can say, right? So it's where first come, first serve, and then the lead gets pushed out to like 10 different agents at the same time, which is stupid, but cool. So next one on my list, I put number 1 as trying to master too many lead gen techniques at one time. So do you remember whenever we first started, and we read that book by Gary Keller, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Mm-hmm. And in that book, when we were new, we didn't really have any guidance, and no one was really coaching us on how to do this. But in that book, there's like several lead sources. There's several different lead sources. There's probably 100. They break them down into like newspaper articles and stuff like that. And then we just picked like a bunch. Remember how much money we wasted trying to figure out? And we did postcards. We even broke our printer because we were printing so many pieces of paper for door hangers. And
yeah, I do remember that.
So I think trying to master too much and do too much at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like it becomes so overwhelming that you're never really good at any of it.
Whenever you say mastering too many lead sources, do you mean like the ways that you're getting leads, or a specific like niche of leads?
I would say the way that you're getting leads would be my thing. Like, okay, so let's say a lead source for you or a lead gen technique, right, is open houses, right? So that'd be like on your lead gen plan, or digital marketing. That's a lead gen plan, or old school stuff, snail mail stuff. Like that's a lead gen plan. So I think trying to master too many of those techniques at one time. Is that what you're trying to ask?
Yeah. So, but you don't think that
Let's cover that mic, or open the mic up. Here, might mess that up.
you don't think that you should incorporate multiple different lead sources in your business, or are you saying just master one first and then add on other ways?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think, obviously, if you want to scale your business, you have to have multiple lead sources. You can't just have one. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? But I would definitely say that stick with, if you're just starting out, I would say stick with like 2 to 3 and master those, right? And then move on to adding, additional techniques. But maybe if you're brand new to the business, start with just one, right? So a lot of companies try to teach, old school methods, say like for sale by owners and expireds. So if that's the route you want to go, I'm not knocking you on that, but if that's the route you want to go, then master for sale by owners and expires, and then move on to another lead source. Like once you've mastered your scripts and you have your systems and processes already in place.
Right.
But yes, you do have to have multiple lead sources. But first starting out, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, right? Because I think that's what we did. We had a burnout, right? We burned ourselves out so much.
Right. We were trying to learn how to do all these different things at the same time, and
right. And it just became, and a lot of people just shut down, right? So they may just completely shut down, and they won't do anything at all. They just won't be productive, right? So they're not productive. And it's kind of like, what is that saying in the contracting world, right? If you meet like a handyman, there's a saying.
I'm not sure.
It's like a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, you definitely don't want to go that route, because you'd be a jack of all trades, but a master of absolutely none of them. So, if you're new, I would stick to 2 or 3, maybe. If your brand's making new, just stick to 1. Get a feel for it and then move on.
Right.
But yeah, if you want to ultimately, have a big successful business, I would at least say, have 3, and then continue to add more lead techniques to your arsenal. So what you got for number 2?
All right. So number 2, I have not time blocking or using a system to keep track of tasks. So this was a big one for us, especially in the beginning. It was trying to just remember off the top of our head everything that we needed to do. Oh, we need to go to this house and put a sign out. Oh, we need to go to this house and pick up our sign and lockbox or whatever. And we didn't really have a good system to keep track of all of the to-do things that we needed to do in our daily business. And on top of that, we weren't time blocking for any of those things. So our schedule every day was just kind of unknown. It was just
chaotic, really.
Yeah. And we weren't setting aside specific time to dedicate to like lead sources, like you were saying. So dedicate aside this time just for, making phone calls or door knocking or open houses or whatever. Time blocking that into our schedule was something that I think really helped when we started doing that. So not doing that in the beginning really made things chaotic, and we forgot to do things, and things got dropped or missed, I think, because of it.
Yeah, and it's tough to run a business if you're not, time blocking or having time management, doing it appropriately, right? So everything's kind of chaotic and very sporadic, right? You don't know what you're supposed to be doing next. And I think this is the area, in my opinion, where most agents fail. Right? I think most agents don't have a good time blocking structure, because they may come from, let's say, corporate backgrounds or wherever the background was before they got into real estate. And I can tell you, my background, but whatever background they were in, and then they jumped into real estate because of that. What would you call it? If everyone just thinks real estate's so easy and they can do it, and everything's just so easy, and they can be their own boss and make their own time and make their own schedule. And then they actually get into the industry and they have no one to report to. And so they just kind of sit there like a lump on a log, and they don't ever actually get anything done. And everything's super chaotic and spread out all over the place. And then it makes like your like our task list. So if we have task lists. Every agent's going to have their task list, especially as you grow. Your tasks are going to grow with you as well. So if you have a massive task list, how are you going to get it done without properly time blocking for that? In
Right.
addition to the appointments that you have to keep with your buyers and sellers,
Right.
and then if you don't have a structure, it's just in my opinion a recipe for disaster. Bad reviews, and then just people are going to badmouth you around town. So I just don't. I think that's very important. I think that's probably one of the top of my list is time management.
Yeah.
In fact, that is my number 2, is time management. Time management is my number 2 for me, because when I first started, remember I talked about background a second ago.
Right.
My background came from oil field, right? So many of you probably who know me know that I come from oil field background. I worked offshore in the drilling industry for a very long time, and it was very tough on us. And so I saw real estate as my golden ticket away from offshore to ultimately create a family with Samantha here. And we told ourselves that that's not something that we wanted to do, right? As long as I was working offshore. And so real estate, popped in the head. I was like, that's my golden ticket.
Yeah.
And so once I ultimately left the oil field, coming into real estate, it was tough. It was very tough because I've never had that sense of freedom before. Prior to the oil field, I was in the Army. So everything was so structured, and like I always had people to report to, I always had supervisors, and we always lived on a structured day.
Right.
And so coming from that to the to real estate, I mean, a lot of you think, well, why didn't he just stick to that? It should be ingrained in his brain. Well, it was, but I had a taste of freedom. Like I can do what I want when I want.
Well, and I think also too, so when you get into real estate, like you said, there is no boss to report to. You don't have someone telling you what you have to do at a certain time or during certain times of the day. So in real estate, that's why it's so important. Like, even though a lot of people do get into real estate because of the flexible schedule, of the freedom to be able to do, their own thing, be their own boss. Even if you're not doing it full time, I think that the time blocking and setting your schedule is important. Even if you got into it to be flexible with time, that's great, but time block your time. If you want to do, several hours out of the day, you want to go work out or do this and that with your kids or whatever, that's great and that's fine, but put it in your schedule, because if it's not written down in your schedule, then it's not going to happen. And if you have all these other things that you want to do during your day, then you're not going to leave time for real estate, or you're going to spend your morning doing something else, and then you're like, oh crap, I have to go to my kid's school, or I have to do this to that, and then you've gone the whole day without doing anything for real estate. And they say what you do today, you'll see the results from 90 days from now. So I just think it's important, even though you have the free time, the flexibility, you don't have a boss to report to or anything, have the time management, like get your schedule set, time block your schedule, and if it's not there, then it doesn't exist.
Yeah, if it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. And one thing that I want to touch on too is whenever you do start time blocking and you do start getting into that workflow, which is nice, is to learn when to cut it off, right? So to learn when to just all stop, right? And so, especially when you have kids, or even if it's husband and wife, or if you're husband and wife with kids, you have to learn when to just give it an all stop, and then like I'm done for the day, whether the time that is, right? So it's 5 p.m., 6 p.m. or whatever of your normal work day, and you cut it off and you spend the rest of that time with your family, your friends, or your little kids, or whatever. So I think that's equally important too, because this stuff can easily consume you, especially when you get into a real nice rhythm. It can easily consume who you are as a person, and then you just like no one else around you kind of really matters anymore, because you're solely hyper focused on one thing, and you don't ever really know when to turn it off because you've trained your brain to do that. So I think that's important to have an all stop.
And it can be hard too if you are working, from home. Your office is your home. Then it can be hard to separate home and work, because you're always at work because you're at home. That's where your office is, and so it's important to set some hours because real estate can be 24/7. You'll have clients who text you 8, 9 o'clock at night, and you'll be
Yeah.
tempted to respond. But it's
We
important.
have agents that text me at 8 o'clock
Yeah.
at night. So
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
agents,
Yeah.
you know, reach out to us late or in
Yeah.
the middle of the night. And it's just important to know, you know, make hours for yourself. And if you have the option to like maybe get a separate phone or phone number for like a business phone,
oh yeah, that's a good one.
it's a great
Yeah.
idea because then you can just put that phone away. Or even do it with your personal phone. You know, it's good for your family as well to put your phone away and
Mhm.
pay attention to what's going on and be present. So setting some hours, you know, start time in the morning, end time in the evening, to where you know, turn off real estate and
Right. In iOS, the iPhones have the do not disturb. So if after
Yeah.
6 p.m. you just click that thing on there, and so anybody who calls you or texts you, it's not going to go through. I think the texts go through, but they
it
don't.
comes through, but it
it
won't
just-
notify you.
Right. So it won't actually ring your phone or
Yeah.
anything. So you don't really know. But
Right.
so I've been using that lately, especially at night. I'm trying to fall asleep. Anybody texting me or calling me. What's yours? What's your next one?
My last one is discounting our services or wanting to pay or do things for clients. So something
Yeah.
about me is I always want to help. I'm a people pleaser. When I see someone is struggling or maybe can't pay to do something or can't do something on their own for whatever reason, I always want to help. And it's a great character or, you know, personality trait, but it can also, I don't know what the word would be, but it can really be like overwhelming maybe in the industry. Like if you do that once or twice, that's great, but then you continue to do it and it's going to wear you down. And then you start to do it for more and more people. And,
Yeah.
you know, we've always found that when we do end up discounting our services or spending time, our time doing something to, you know, help a client, like clean their house or whatever, that those end up being some of the harder transactions or transactions that don't even end up going through. And we're out the money that we put into it, or, you know, didn't get our full commission that we worked especially hard for. So I've just found, like in the beginning especially, we always wanted to do that. We always wanted to help in any way we could, and we quickly found out that was not.
It's more stressful
good to
than
do.
it was worth.
Yeah.
It is funny though. You're going back to, let's say, discounting. You're discounting your commissions. So everyone knows there's no really set standard in commissions, but people charge what they charge. You know, and so what our rate was, and if somebody fought us on our rate, and then I swear it was literally every time that we just like they would not budge, and we said screw it, let's take it. It just became the most headache of a transaction. I mean, there was always something, even though like if I'm at that listing appointment and then I felt like, hey, this should be a pretty easy transaction. Like, fine, I'll reduce my commissions by X% or whatever it is, or, you know, $1,000, or, you know, whatever it is, right? Yeah, I'll reduce it. And I swear every single time that transaction was just a problematic transaction.
Yeah.
Something popped up every time. And I just could not stand it. And it was only those that we discounted ourselves on. It was so funny. Mostly, yeah. And so it just got to the point to where, like, look, man, like, my commission is what it is. We believe in our value that we provide to our customers and clients.
Right.
And if you don't see that value, then we're just not the agent for you. And so that's how we ultimately began to approach this thing, is just like, you know, if they don't see the value in us, then they're not the right client for me. So we just move around and go find somebody else. And I get that that's probably hard for a new agent to do, or especially somebody who's struggling in this industry. Is, you know, maybe the person does want to discount, and it's up to the agent and what they want to do there.
And to each their own. I mean, obviously anyone can discount their commission if they want to. It was just something that we found every time we did, or that we, you know, we did paid for things out of our own pocket, or took the time out of our day to do something extra to try and help someone. Those always ended up being the deals that had the most problems or issues going on, or sometimes they'd never even, like, we paid money out of our own pocket to stage a house or something, and then that house never sold, and then the seller never ended up selling with us at all, so we never got paid a commission. So it just always seemed like that for us. Obviously, everybody's different, but it was something that, looking back on it as a new agent, I just think that it would have been wise to not take those, you know.
Yeah. I want to touch on the staging thing, though, because I will say that I think, if an agent has that kind of money or that kind of capital into their
Right.
operating accounts, then I will say that there's some people out there who use that as a value prop to their sellers, right? That
Of
are
course,
selling
yeah.
vacant properties that say, hey, list with me, I'll give you $1,000 credit towards your staging, or list with me and I'll stage your house for free, right? So there's people out there who do that as a value prop. But I would say, like, that's for people that already have that kind of money in their in their operating accounts to begin with. If you're running razor thin margins, then you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say the staging portion, can be beneficial to an agent as far as the value proposition is concerned.
Yeah, I think that it's something especially to add as you are more successful in your business. We're talking about mistakes we made when we were new, and I think as a new agent, when
that's
you're first
the whole topic.
out,
so
it wouldn't be something that I would recommend as a new agent trying to get more business, or don't use little money that you do have or that you have made from it on something like that.
All right, we'll go to my last one. So you just did your third one, right?
I did.
Cool. All right, so I'll do mine. So my third one is having no systems in place. So I think that not having, when I'm talking about systems, I don't mean just like a CRM, right? Because you can go buy a CRM, Lion Desk, or, what are the popular ones nowadays? Follow a Boss and stuff like that. You can go buy those. And a CRM is only as good as you utilize it, right? And I think for us, it took us a very long time to figure out how we wanted to use ours effectively, right? With the built-in automations, with texting and email campaigns and all that stuff. So I think in the beginning, like, we didn't have any direction or guidance on that kind of stuff. Right? We didn't have no one there to coach us up on how to utilize these systems. And I think, and I will say though, back then, like, it wasn't, what we see today probably isn't as prevalent, or
it wasn't as advanced
or evolved.
Yeah.
But so it was kind of in the early stages of things. So, but there was still email campaigns and there was still texting and stuff like that. A lot of automation that we see today wasn't around.
Right.
But nonetheless, like, we still didn't have really anybody to kind of like guide us through on how to utilize systems and processes and put those in place. And that can go on to, systems can go on to you as well, because you were the admin and you're even the admin of the brokerage. So, and you can, if you don't have processes and systems put in place, your life's going to be a nightmare. As far as the agency side is concerned, if we don't have processes put in place, it's an absolute nightmare. And even our systems, there's no way to track. So, like, we're really big on digital marketing today, if you don't know about us and who we are. But we're really heavy on digital marketing, YouTube ads, Google pay-per-click campaigns and all that stuff. We run our own marketing agencies. But I think, back then, like, when we started to teeter-tot in that world of, let me generate some leads, through Facebook, when that stuff first came out, we're generating crazy amount of leads, but we had no systems to track any of it. Like, it was just, I imported the data in there, or I didn't even have a system to import that data in there.
Yeah, I know we had like a very clunky CRM that basically was, someone's name, phone number, email, and that's basically it.
What was that system?
Might have had a
when we started with, it did have email campaigns.
But I don't.
What was it when we first started with KW and they had it? They is
E-Edge.
E-Edge, E-Edge. I think the best part about E-Edge is the pre-built email stuff that they already had in there. That was it. And I think once KW left the E-Edge thing, it was kind of like, what do we do with emails? And I remember that. But so our systems didn't really have all that stuff back then. What we have now, the way we have all of our systems set up today, back then it wasn't as advanced as it is today. So you're right. It was real clunky and old school, and it was just like. But even still, like, it was still a CRM that you can use, right? You can still, when is the next time that I need to follow up with this person? Give me that reminder, because that's where we lived off, was tasks and reminders. But it was an absolute mess for to have no systems put in place, which really sucks.
And you need systems for more than just, that, touch with your clients and staying in contact and your task. Also, like you were saying, like for me on the admin side, like having a system in place for all of, the admin work and all of those things nowadays is a lot better than how it was back then. We have so many different, options to choose from for different things that will all connect to each other now, whereas back then it didn't.
Yeah, and what would you say though for people who are, let's say an agent is at that next level, right, and then they are going to hire an administrator? Like, what kind of processes or systems do they need to have in place for that administrator? Or, I mean, obviously, I think it's the administrator's job to kind of put that stuff in place. But what do you think? Like, because they need it, other than just like technology or software, like they still need standard operating procedures, like in order for their day-to-day routine in life.
Well, yeah, right? I mean, it just kind of depends on what all they want that admin to do or take over for them. I mean, if you're wanting them to take over, paperwork and things like that, then give them an outline and a guide of what you expect and how to properly do that, and give them the proper access to things that they need access to for as far as technology goes. But yeah.
Cool. Very nice. Well, I think I covered my 3 and you covered your 3. Right, so that's going to pretty much wrap it up for our very first episode of Table Talk, I think.
Yes, I think so.
Awesome. So our plan and our goal is to release one of these every single week, right? Every single week. I'm thinking maybe a Tuesday. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Right? Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't know. I have to look at what I want to do. But our goal is to give you guys content same day, same time, every single week. We've sat down and mapped out, I think, we're over 100 different topics and ideas to record on. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so we're super stoked about getting this info out there and getting this series out there to you guys to help whoever it is or wherever you are. So make sure you tune in to Table Talk. We'll have these things or have these episodes listed on Apple Podcasts, so make sure you subscribe there. We can listen to it in your car or you're at the gym if that's your thing. And we'll be on YouTube, and I'll probably put this on Facebook too. So it'll be on Facebook and our website. We'll have this on our Greystone website. Yeah, it'll be everywhere. So you'll be able to find it if you look for it. So, but I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you guys next week.